Welcome to Ashland, Kansas. And we are way down here in the southern part of Kansas, maybe even southwestern Kansas. Gonna check out the county seat here of Clark County. And they have a museum. They have a couple of historical things to see in town. So let's start off with walking down through the kind of historic business district in downtown Ashland and learn about the history of the town.
Ashland, Kansas is the county seat of Clark County. Clark County is in southwest Kansas, like I mentioned, along the Oklahoma border, and Ashland is basically in the middle of the county. There are only 3 incorporated towns in all of Clark County, and Ashland is the largest, just a few more than Mineola. Ashland was established in 1884 during a period of rapid westward expansion in the United States. The town was named after Henry Clay's hometown of Ashland, Kentucky. The establishment of the town was driven largely by cattle ranching. At this time, there was a rise in large ranching operations, with many settlers establishing homesteads here under the provisions of the Homestead Act. One of the most significant early settlers was Captain C.M. Scott, a Civil War veteran and newspaper editor who helped establish the town. He was instrumental in promoting the area's development, including efforts to secure a railroad connection. The arrival of that Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railway in the late 19th century provided a direct connection to larger markets and allowed local ranchers and farmers to transport cattle and crops more efficiently. The town grew steadily, with businesses, schools, and churches established to support the growing population. But like much of the Great Plains, Ashland faced severe challenges during the 1930s and the Dust Bowl. Prolonged drought and poor farming practices led to devastating dust storms, which severely impacted agriculture and forced many families to leave the area. Despite the hardships, Ashland's ranching industry helped sustain the economy. Cattle operations were less affected by soil erosion compared to crop farming. The Great Depression further strained the community, leading to economic decline. However, local banks and several businesses managed to survive, allowing the town to recover in the following decades. Following World War II, Ashland experienced a period of economic stability and agricultural modernization. The construction of better roads also helped connect with nearby communities. In the latter half of the 20th century and into the 21st century, Ashland has continued to rely on agriculture and ranching as its primary economic drivers. In 2017, Ashland and the surrounding areas were impacted by a devastating Starbuck fire, one of the largest wildfires in Kansas history. The fires destroyed homes, ranches, and thousands of acres of grazing land. When you look at the population, like we were talking about how it grew basically till 1950. They had a small decrease in 1940 due to the Dust Bowl Depression time. But then since 1950, it's gone down in every census between 5 and 12%, down to 783 today. This might just look like a church on the main street, but it's actually called Cups and Mugs. It's a nice little restaurant. I stopped here and had lunch, and as you can see, very nice on the inside. Really good food. So I also stopped by the Pioneer-Krier Museum. And this is basically, the county museum for Clark County. Offers a comprehensive look into the region's history and heritage. It was not open this day, but I got a tour from a guy named Tony, who is part of the Clark County Historical Society, owns land here in Clark County. Lots of great old photos that you'll only find in a museum like this. And there's stories like that bust of Abraham Lincoln that was made out of greenbacks. That's an interesting way to make a bust. But having a guy like Tony show me around and give me the history of why certain things are here, because you'd never kind of know why like a 100-plus-year-old tractor like that is here. And so they all have connections to the county, or someone who lived in the county, or somebody that got a hold of these things or made little projects like that. So pretty interesting museum. But like I said, it was great to have someone show me around and give me some insights to what everything is. So in the back they have all these, or a couple of these airplanes, and it's called the Pioneer-Krier Museum because of a man named Harold Krier. And he was a kind of stunt pilot, I guess you would call it, a national champion aerobatic flyer. And he was kind of a world famous pilot, and especially being from Ashland, Kansas is certainly the pride of this area. There's so many cool pictures and displays, and having some of his old planes there, it really is a unique thing that most county museums would not have.
Harold Krier flew from the late 40s until the early 70s as one of several talented airshow pilots touring the country with Bill Sweet and national air shows. An airshow jack of all trades, Krier flew everything from the Great Lakes biplane and clipped-wing Cub to the de Havilland Chipmunk and his own custom-designed Krier Craft Acromaster, often flying several acts at a single airshow. In addition to being the premier airshow pilot of his day, Krier made two significant contributions to the business. First, he routinely shared his hard-learned lessons and insights from aircraft design and redesign with his colleagues and competitors.
Mr. Krier, are you ever scared when you do stunts like that?
Well, after years and years of practice and hours of it, why, it doesn't bother me.
Have you been doing this all your life?
Well, it seems like all my life. However, it's only been about 12 years.
And back to the museum. There's some really cool stuff. I like this display of the bank, and then kind of right under it are pictures of different banks from the county. That's really cool to see how it kind of looks like that display. And there's all kinds of old pictures, like I said earlier, that you'll only find in a museum like this. A lot of this stuff is not online, and so I really appreciate the countless hours the volunteers of places like the Clark County Historical Society put in to help people like me, and hopefully some of you, learn about the history of the area. There is a little special shout out here because I'm a track and field coach. Wes Santee is from Ashland, Kansas, and he's one of the great distance runners of his era back in the 1960s. And so there's a lot of his old memorabilia and displays. That was a really cool thing for a track and field guy like me. They had a really cool map here, the last thing I'm going to show you, and I use this map a lot in exploring more of Clark County. That'll be coming up in a future video.
Ashland is a pretty interesting place to check out. I'm here at the high school taking a lap on the track, and it definitely feels like there's a good, community here. You can see how it was bigger. There are some abandoned buildings, but for the most part, it seems like it's taken care of pretty well, and the downtown is really nice because some cool places to see. The museum was great. Really friendly guy there, Tony, showed me all around, and so definitely nice, way out of the way, very quiet as you explore around the area, but it's also a very, very beautiful part of Kansas, so definitely worth the drive to come out here and check out Ashland. You hear about one stoplight towns. This is a one flashing light town here. Dang, I wish I was staying here tonight for that. Ashland, Kansas. It's like the San Diego Chargers, or I guess the Los Angeles Chargers. Great color scheme, spins really well. Got to give that an 8.5.